Afternoon. My name is Anita Gloria English Debro. I was born in New Orleans on January 23rd, 1930. My mother was Wilma Augusta Good English. My dad was Lindell English. In 1937, when my grandfather passed away, my mother said, "We are going to move to California." Okay. On the way, we stopped in Texas, where an aunt had some relatives. Then we stopped. You have to excuse my voice, it's something I can't help. Water doesn't help it either. We stopped in Los Angeles, where there were some teenage cousins who took me to the Santa Monica Boardwalk. And of course, I had to go on the Big Dipper. That was wonderful until we got up to the top. And when that thing started down, I swore we were going to end in the ocean. And I screamed and hollered and screamed and hollered. No more Big Dipper. We finally arrived in Oakland, and my aunt met us at the train station. And she said, when I got off the train, I was wearing this little hat on my head. And I looked up and I said, "Is this Oakland?" Because we had stopped so many places. I didn't know when we were going to get to Oakland. All right, once in Oakland, I attended Prescott School from the 2nd grade to the 9th grade. At the time, Prescott had a junior high school. My first black teacher that I had seen since the 2nd grade was in the 6th grade, when my 6th grade teacher, Albertine D. Smith, had a student teacher whose name was Muriel Rose Anderson. She later married and became Muriel Rose. During my junior high school years, the PE teacher at Prescott had a Girl Scout troop, of which I became a member, and I attended a conference or a camp, whatever it was, at Camp Gold Run, California. Out of 150 children, I was the only one, you know what I mean. Going on to high school, I attended Oakland Tech, and there in the 11th grade, I met someone called Joseph Debro. We were both members of the YWCA. In 1946, he finished high school and he enrolled in the Army. At that same time, the YW and the YMCA had this huge conference of black and white boys and girls in a town called Grinnell, which is located in Iowa. I attended that conference and it was wonderful. In the meantime, Joe and I would correspond. He came out of the Army, and of course, later on in 1950, we got married. We have 3 sons, Keith, Carl, and Craig, all of which have higher degrees, 2 masters, and 1 doctorate from Mills College, Vernola. When I married, it's very interesting that you mentioned Burl Toller, Marguerite, because Gwen Toller, his sister, was in my wedding. And after that, Joe was a scientist. But I kept looking at him and I knew science was not what he wanted. He worked for NASA for a while. He worked at various chemical places, but not happy. Finally, he met someone who was involved in construction, and that's where he found his niche. He worked so hard to get jobs for black construction people, black construction workers. They formed the National Association of Minority Contractors, and that's where he found his groove. One of the main things that he built was the 3 towers in Oakland over there by Market? That was one of his constructions. And the old Alice Arts Center on Alice Street, which is now called the Malanga, somebody help me, the Malanga something. I don't know the name of it, but that was his largest project. And most people, and so was I, were surprised to find out that it's not only a theater, there are apartments on the other side connected to that building. and that was his greatest and final contribution to construction. But he never stopped working to get black contractors into unions, which was a problem because that's the only way they could get a job was through the unions. The unions were all white. Who was going to let him into the unions? That was the biggest battle he had. And that is my story. I'm sorry, I neglected one thing. Prescott School, where I attended, is the first black school in Oakland. And in 2019, we celebrated 150 years of the school. This is the first black teacher in Oakland, Ida Louise Jackson, and I had the privilege of being in several of her English classes. Sorry I forgot that.